So it's January still. You've got back into work, but you're not quite there yet because January is always that difficult month. And you're thinking, well, what do I need to do to make 2025 a success? Because you've probably got to that stage now when you're thinking the New Year's resolutions have worn off. In this podcast episode, I'm going to share with you how to book meetings for 2025. And one of the most common questions I get asked is, how do I book meetings? What do I do if people don't want to have conversations with me? How can I make people have conversations with me? How can I generate more leads from my pipeline, etc., etc.? So I'm going to share with you over the next 15, 20 minutes or so, some insights and some ideas on what you can do to basically generate book meetings for 2025. And if you follow this advice, you're going to open up more doors with your potential client type to win business. What's my first point on this? My first point of this is that this is a real weird thing you might say, but I'm going to say to you this now because it's early January. It's a good time for reflection. See this as your duty and not your job. And if you are a business owner that provides a service to companies that can help them achieve success and do things and solve problems, then this is your duty, not just a job to do this. I see it as for example, I see it as my duty to help business owners who are frustrated with their sales numbers build a sales plan to get them on track. I see it as my actual duty to achieve that result. And therefore, when I'm making calls and having conversations, I'm not just doing it because I want to try and generate leads, but because I passionately care about helping them solve that problem. So my first message to you is see what you're doing as a duty, not a job. It's a responsibility. It's because you want to help them. And if you do that, as well as see sales as being a focus on problem solving, not selling, you are going to put yourself in a far greater position to make people want to have meetings with you. And the reality is people are fed up of being sold to. They don't want to be sold to. They don't want to be given and directed to things that are no longer valid or relevant for them. They want people to help them solve problems and challenges, and to do so in a way that they care about and they matter. And they're not just doing it to service and feather their own nest, but to really make a difference in someone's world. And when you start to focus on it being your duty and something you care about, and you start to see sales as being focused on problem solving, not selling, then guess what? That shines through in the way in which you talk and the way in which you engage with people. And that makes them more inclined to want to have a meeting with you than not. And you might think, well, that's ridiculous. Why would someone want to have a meeting with me because I'm trying to help them solve a problem even if they don't use me? It's because they don't feel pressurized. They don't feel like if they don't do this, then if they have a meeting with you, they're gonna be sold to. And one of the key challenges that we have to understand and accept is that people don't like to have meetings because they feel like they're going to be sold to. They feel like they're going to be pushed down a path. So if you can help someone solve a problem and be passionate about that, it's going to come through. And I'm going to give you a technique towards the end of this session. In fact, the technique I'll give you at the end of the podcast, so stay tuned for, that will help you do just this. And it's a simple technique, when used in the right way, can make a massive difference in generating opportunities and meetings and having conversations with people. So point number two is this: start with a clear purpose. Ask yourself the question, why should the person have a meeting with you, and what's the value to them? And this might be a bit of a daft thing to say, but most people say, why should they have a meeting with me? Because they want to buy my product. No, they don't. I've told you this time and time again in podcasts, and I keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. Buyers don't give a monkey's backside about what you do and what you want. People only care about buying things that solve problems and desires for them and help them make a difference in their world. And so the reason that people don't want to have a meeting with you is because they don't understand what they're going to gain from the meeting, and they don't understand what it's going to give them in terms of value. So we have to be able to showcase and share insights to the person we're speaking to that tells them what value they're going to gain. And part of that value may be just to share some insights or to learn something about a new service area or to share some research or to whatever. But ask yourself the question, what is the value for the other person of having that meeting? What are they going to gain from it? And if you can't answer that question honestly, if you can't say to yourself, well, it's just because, then why should they have the meeting with you? Business people that get meetings are able to clearly identify what it is that they offer, what problems they can solve, and how they can make problems go away, and showcase that in a way that makes the other person feel like this is worth listening to. It makes them feel curious. So first, if you want to book meetings for this year, for 2025, just ask the question, what's the value that the other person is going to gain from it? And if it's to help solve this issue, mark that down as being your value part, but be clear about what that is. So the second part, the third part I should say around building meetings for 2025 is, who are you going to have meetings with? And sometimes one of the things that we do in sales and business situations is we sit there and go, I want more meetings. But who do you want meetings with? Who is the audience list, the target list of people that you want to do business with? And one of the things that I'm going to encourage you to do, and this isn't just something I come up with, there's lots of people, Alex Hormozy, Russell Brunson have said the same thing, and I agree with them both totally. Write down a list of key people, companies, and then maybe the people within those companies, stakeholders of prospects of maybe 100, top 100 list of people that you would like to be able to have conversations and meetings with. People that you think, ideally are a good target fit for you and your service and what you offer. But identify who this list is and build this list of people. And don't just come up with any old list of people. Try and identify, let's see if you've got an existing customer that works in a certain space. Try and identify a similar company to that you would like to have a conversation with, and who the person is within that company, and maybe start to have a look at their details on LinkedIn and start to see who they are, so that you can just decide, actually I want to have a conversation with those people. And it doesn't mean say you will want to do that all the time. I've had people on my list that when I've met them afterwards, I'll be honest with you, I had a person on my list who was a CEO, an MD of an insurance company, and I met him at an event, and I thought, I think he's an arsehole. Actually, I don't particularly want to have a meeting with him. I wouldn't want to do business with him. So I removed him off my list. But he was on my list because he was someone I hadn't wanted to speak to. Well, then when I met him at an event by accident, I decided that I just didn't like him. I just didn't think it would be a good fit. His values and mine didn't align, and it would be a waste of time. But at least I had that list to start off with. So build your list of target, people, prospects that you want to engage with, and create a spreadsheet or a list in your CRM, or if you're using Sales Navigator, create a Sales Navigator list of those top 100 people. If you don't do 100, do 50 as a minimum of what their names are, their companies, and what that that first meeting would look like. What value could you share with them that would make that person think this was useful? So the next point is this, reach out on a regular basis across multiple channels, and reach out, early, and reach out a few times. If I get so frustrated with salespeople that say to me, I tried to get a meeting with someone, and I said, okay, how did it go? I sent them an email, they didn't get back to me. It's like, if you've sent one email to someone, no wonder they haven't got back to you. People probably get hundreds of emails per day, and their ability to remember your email amongst a crowded list of other things, especially in the early part of January when they get back into the swing of business, is nigh on impossible. It's so difficult to do that because we've got 101 things going on in our brains. So, you've got to use multiple channels and multiple methods and multiple times. So the blueprint that we create for sales teams that we work with, we actually outline a series of communications over a 3-month period, and we specifically say you've got to probably reach out and do this 10, 15 times over a consolidated period. And people say to me, I can't do that because they'll think I'm pestering them. No, if you're sharing, and we'll talk about this in the next point, if you're sharing stuff that's valuable and helpful and that's useful, and that people can see that you can be of interest to them, then they might not want to have a meeting with you straight away, but they might say to you, don't communicate with me. But if you keep sharing insights that's useful, then they might go, okay, what is it you have to offer? And then you can then open up the conversation about having a 10 or 15 minute or half-hour meeting with them. So you don't try and sheep dip your sales methodology. Sheeps go in for a dip if they've got an ailment, and come out and they're expected to be good for the rest of the season. Be in a position where you can really just focus on doing this over a consolidated period of time. I've talked about it before, but Google talked about 7-11-4, 7 hours of content across 11 interactions across 4 media for people to trust you. And so use multiple methods, but also use multiple channels. there are 7 different methods of prospecting. If you want to know all 7, reach out to me. But the ones that most people are using are emails, social messages, and calling. So, if you want to know the other 4, reach out to me and I'll tell you. But those 3 certainly are methods that you can use. And so you want to be able to start, send an email to someone, then maybe follow up with a call 4 or 5 days later, then send a social message 6 days later, and have that consolidated campaign to that group of people over a period of time. And if you do that, you're going to stand yourself the best possible chance of opening up the dialogue and then arranging a meeting. So the next point is this, which links on to regular engagement, is make sure that the invitation or the connection or communication you send to people is ideal for this. And again, I see so many salespeople that send, meeting invites and information, which are literally, paragraphs long. Messages on LinkedIn are so long and too detailed. It's like, just get to the point, keep it clear and concise, and be really focused about what it is you do. I always say to people, be really clear about a specific problem that you think they've got, a challenge that they've got, and ask really simply, within 1 or 2 sentences, what you can, or how you can build some credibility with them to show that you've solved issues like this for other people, and then help them, resolve that by showcasing or sharing something of value or insight. And make people feel that you can do that within 3 or 4 sentences. And if you're not sure what to say or what to send, reach out to me. I've got some resources. I've got a course actually, which covers all of the materials on how to do this. We'll even help you create some of your own sales communications for this. But just be really concise, be clear, no more than 50 to 75 words, 3 or 4 paragraphs maximum, short, sharp, to the point, punchy, and do that. You're better to do 10 emails like that over a period of 2 months than 1 or 2 emails that are longer trying to explain everything. Don't try and explain your whole solution and what you do and what you sell within a first communication with someone. The job is just to try and open up the door and to make them feel curious, to make them feel intrigued by what it is you offer, and to make them think, I want to have this conversation, rather than necessarily just being submerged with a whole host of information and brochures around what you and your company does. Create a nice, simple invitation and communication. Get it, communicate with people, and then do it on a regular basis, and see what results you happen from there. So, and adding to that, that point is the next point. It's to leverage a bit of technology. One of the ways in which you can do that is you can, and a lot of people say to me, "Oh, should you automate the emails that you send?" And of course, there are some clever tools that enable you to automate communications really, really well. But I also think you can utilize technology like CRM systems to remind you to do things at a certain point in time in the day. And so just being able to remind yourself to engage with that person, or to use technology like, for example, I use on LinkedIn, I use Sales Navigator, where I have a list of 100 people I want to engage with. And then when a new update is created by one of those people, it notifies me. So I can then log on and comment on that, which increases my chance of having a meeting. So create some, utilize technology, whether it's a CRM system to remind you to follow up, or a LinkedIn tool like that, or any other CRM sort of system to be able to use to help you engage. Technology can help you, and if it's done in the right way, if you then personalize the message and engage with people, then you're gonna see a better response. And to then build on from that point. And the reason I'm not a massive fan of technology en masse being used is if you want to book meetings for this year, personalize your communication more effectively. So become, able to say to someone that you've specifically looked at them and their profile and researched them and their details. If they think they're another notch on your bedpost, then they're going to be less inclined to engage. Whereas when something is done in a personalized method, when someone says, I've looked personally at what you guys are doing in this way, then it makes them think that it's, that some time and effort has been put in, and it increases their chances, or the chance of people responding back to people. I know when people have personalized messages to me, or have taken a bit of time to engage, I've certainly been more inclined to open up conversations and have meetings with them than if I'm just another number and I'm just being communicated to en masse. So try and create some personalized approaches that can work. You can't. One of the I shared with you 3 methods of prospecting. One of the 4th methods that you can use is video prospecting. And video prospecting is a simple way. Again, there's a video on my YouTube channel. Search for how to video prospect, where you can learn to video prospect effectively, and that can help you personalize a message that can hopefully resonate and make the other person think, yeah, this is quite interesting for me. So really just try and start to utilize technology, but make sure that you make it personalized and specific for that person. Generalized stuff generally doesn't work. When it's personalized and attributed to that person, then it has a better chance of success. The next point is try and create a bit of urgency. And what do I mean by this? If you want to create meetings straight away now, in 2025, talk to your audience about problems that if they don't resolve, in the next couple of months are going to get worse. So, for example, one of those things might be is if you provide a service that maybe is being changed as a result of AI, then actually, reaching out to people and saying, look, AI is going to change things in the next 3 to 4 months. And here's an example of where that's happening. I want to help your organization solve this. So let's get a date in the diary so we can talk through the implications of this and build a plan to solve it. So, create a sense of urgency or why making a call meeting now is going to make a difference. A good example of that I will do, for example, is a lot of the companies that I tend to work under the same tax year. So I will have meetings and conversations with them early in 2025 to talk about how they can ensure their plans for 2025, 26 are going to look solid and robust. And so I will have conversations with people about making sure that they get ahead of the curve of the April the 6th new start, the new financial year starting by having those conversations now. So try and create a narrative around why getting a meeting early in the year can help them, and why that create that sense of urgency for them. And obviously, be in a position where you are flexible and accommodating about meeting people in the way in which that you want to meet them. So, we don't want to be subservient to people, but we do want to be able to talk about being able to meet at different times. And, sales, senior people are very busy a lot of the time. So be accommodating. So, don't just expect to meet between 9 and 5. Maybe say to a senior person, because of the importance of this, I'm opening up my calendar to work from, to have a conversation from 7 till 8 or from 6 till 7 in the evening. So be accommodating around your flexibility and when that person can handle this, because new meetings with potential companies and prospects are not the things that people want to do day to day. Very few people want to do that in the middle of the day because they've got other things to do with their team or with their company or their priorities. So you've got to be flexible about making sure that they know that it's important for you and you're able to be, flex alongside their schedule so, that they can have a meeting when it's not at the core part of their day. And when you're able to show that and be able to be flexible and also be flexible around the time that the meeting happens. So a lot of people want 30 minutes or an hour in the diary. I haven't got time to commit an hour to anyone right now, but if someone wants to give me 15 minutes initially and then create some intrigue and curiosity with me, yeah, I'm open to doing that if I think it can add value and if it hits a priority that I've got. So look, these are some of the simple things you need to do to put meetings in the diary for 2025. My final point on this, though, is to take action. As ever with sales, a lot of what we do, we can't get what we want and results what we want by writing things down and having it in a plan and whatever if we don't take the action. We have to be on the front foot and do the work. And I always use the David Goggins phrase, never negotiate with yourself, as a great method for this. If you've agreed to take action between 10 till 11 to generate some new meetings for a conversation, take the action. Build the list. If you're not sure what to do or how to do it, reach out to me. If you're not sure about how, there's one of my most popular videos is help I don't have a sales plan. Have a look for that. Help I don't, reach out to do that. It will show you how to go and develop that. But take action. You are not going to get the results you want. You're not going to book meetings in your schedule. You're not going to take, don't hope that it comes to you, that people will, that will come to you and that you don't have to worry about going to them. It doesn't work that way, I'm afraid. Or if it does, it's by luck rather than judgment. We want to be in control of the process and to take action so that you can put meetings in your diary. And of course, the reality is the reason we need lots more meetings is, if you need 10 customers, the chances are you're probably going to need 50 to 75 people at the top of the funnel. So maybe 20, 30 meetings to get those 10 to customers on board. We never convert everyone. And so make sure you're having enough conversations with enough people to ensure you can hit the numbers that you want. So look, I hope that's given you some insights on how to book meetings for 2025. The reality is, so getting meetings, getting appointments is difficult. But as I always say to people, if they don't come to you, and we always want to generate them throughout, but inbound activity, we've got to go out to find them. So if your ship doesn't come in, you've got to swim out to it, take the action, follow the steps that I've mentioned here with purpose and build a targeted list and reach out on a consistent basis with good messages and solve problems and become a problem solver and someone that adds value, and it's going to increase your chances of getting those meetings in place. So as I always do, I like to finish the podcast with a really good news story and an inspirational story. And I wanted to share a story of a guy called Mike Scotland. And Mike is from Scotland himself, actually, in a place just near Aberdeen. Actually, it's our second person recently we've had an inspirational story from. Lots of inspirational people in North East Scotland. And Mike was a motivational speaker, and he was one of these people that he suffered from a bit of depression. And he contemplated taking his own life. And then what he realised was that he basically, on visits to the river that he was going to take his own life, he noticed that a lot of litter had accumulated. And he basically decided to try and help himself feel better and took some black bags down and to try and pick up the litter. And he basically was, stopped by someone else who said what he was doing, and he told them he was litter picking, and the person said, can he give a hand? And the other person spent the next couple of hours, picking up litter together, and they had open conversations and they chatted as people are like-minded, and they filled some rubbish up. And Mike, started then creating his own litter picking group and created a community cleanup, which has enabled people in Aberdeen to have great conversations with other people around their mental health. But more importantly, they're also cleaning up their community. And they've collected nearly 14,000 kilograms of litter. And they've seen things, they've spotted things in the area, a lot of wildlife. They've built relationships and conversations and discussions with people that help them. And I thought, what an inspirational story when, Mike was going for a tough time himself to do something better for the planet, to help the planet look better. But it's also making him realise that he can then connect and communicate with other people that feel the same way, and it's brought together a community. And when I see communities like that happening, it just brings a smile to my heart. So, so Mike Scotland, from Scotland, who created his cleanup community, is my inspirational story for the week. When things were tough, he found a way to go and do something different rather than just moan or just accept things the way they were. And it's helped others now as a result of it, and has made his environment a better place to live in. So if you're feeling down or unsure about something, take inspiration from Mike. So that's it this week again. Thank you so much for giving me your ears. The podcast is nothing without you. I truly appreciate and value and hugely grateful for what you do by giving me your ears, or if you watch on the YouTube, then thank you for watching. I hope it's helping you. I hope the insights I'm sharing are great. As ever, if you've got a question around sales or sales situation you want someone to talk about, reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. Tell me what the problem is, and I'll bring it onto the podcast. I've done that for Matthew and Matt quite recently, and I'm happy to do the same for you. So if you're listening thinking, I've got a sales issue that I'd love James to comment on, to help me with, or to do a podcast on, then reach out. But if you haven't and just enjoying listening, then thank you so much as ever for your time. I'm hugely appreciative. Please, if you can, like the channel, the podcast, and give it a rating. That would help me immensely and help me bring more stories and insights to other people. But that serves me to do nothing else but say, have a brilliant week ahead, everyone. Stay safe, happy selling, enjoy yourself, and I'll see you next week. Take care.